So first up, we have Leon Boey, who is the founder of Livingseas Foundation and a second place winner of Blue Water Heroes. Leon Boey, please. Also, a fun fact about Leon, perhaps it's because of his love for the ocean, his next closest favorite liquid is beer, which is why Ping Ping prepared something very special for you, Leon. You can do whatever you want with this. Okay, Leon, please, ladies and gentlemen.
I actually stay in Bali. I actually stay in Bali, right? This photo is taken in Bali. Who's been to Bali recently? Everybody, right? We all go there. Are you familiar with this view? You know where this is from? Well, it's on the west coast. So this is actually in front of Kuta Beach. I need the clicker thing. And this is in front of Kuta Beach. And when you look at it, what do you think? Beautiful, right? It's got the sunset, with the waves. Everybody thinks, wow, that's great. I'd argue that millions of people go to Bali every year just for this view, right? But do you want to know what it's really like? This is what it's really like. So I went there, I did this survey right in front where that picture was taken. And this is the water under the surface. Basically, I was holding my GoPro like that. Couldn't see more than 20 cm, right? That's how bad it is. We were down doing a survey because they were putting in these breakwaters to protect against wave erosion, beach erosion. And out of the 4 hours that we were underwater, I didn't see any coral. I saw maybe one fish, completely dead, right? But when tourists go and look at it, and you think it's beautiful, interesting, right? What you're seeing is really just the surface, yeah? But the reality below is a bit more like that, in a lot of places as well. Now, what do you think I actually saw when I went diving there? Didn't see any fish, didn't see any coral, but what do you think I saw? This is from 1st of Jan. I don't know if you're aware of this here in Singapore, but this was big, big news in Bali. 1st of Jan, every year this happens, right? And again, this is on the beach. What we are seeing, all of this, is just scratching the surface. What about all the plastic that doesn't make it to the beach? Where does it go? Where do you think? Under, right? Not just the fish. Goes to the coral, right? Now, where does this plastic come from? What do you think? I deliberately covered the first two. This data was from 2024. Per capita producers of plastic waste. Any guesses who's the top? Singapore. When I first heard this stat, I mean, being Singaporean, I also quite paiseh. Look at the gap, 76 kilos. Australia is not even more than 10, right? 17 kg away. This is per capita. Now, in Singapore, we don't see the trash on the beach like the video before. Why? Because we have a good system here, right? So you don't see the trash. You don't know where it goes. But that's the stats. Each one of us sitting here, 76 kg per year. The lucky thing is, we've got a good system, right? So all your bubble tea, your tapao, all of that, you buy, you continue to buy. And you throw it away, it gets burned. And you don't realize how much you're actually consuming, how much you're actually using. This is where it ends up, right? We all get up in arms and angry whenever we see trash on the beach, because that's so direct. But underwater, the corals can't complain, right? That's me picking up a net of the coral in Bali, right? Even worse, all these fish hanging around with all the plastic. I mean, these are stats that I think we already passed. Every minute, one truck of trash ends up in the ocean. This is in Indonesia. This was a stat from a movie called Pulau Plastic. It's on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of that. But yeah, crazy, right? This is what we want to see when we go diving or snorkeling. This is something you see when you go on Instagram, right, and you watch, all these nice reels of people in these diving spots. And this is what you see. But the reality, when you go diving, is a bit more like this, right? Not everywhere. There's still some patches of nice things, but more often than not, you're going to see these blank patches of dead corals, rubble, right? When we go diving and snorkeling, we want to see this guy. Who's that? Nemo. Actually, a clownfish, yeah? But how are they going to live if this is their environment, right? So that's kind of sad. And I personally, I've been diving almost 20 years. I've gone a lot of places around the region. When I was based in Singapore, I used to be, outbound all the time. I'll go to Thailand, Philippines, Maldives. Every year I go back to the same place. And every year, it's a little bit different. And it's a little bit worse. Can't really put your finger on it, right? But every time I go back, it's that little bit different. So I want to do something about it, right? And do something about what? A lot of people, when they think about marine conservation, we're thinking about whales, the sharks, the turtles. These are the charismatic species, right? The cute ones everybody loves. But where do they all live? What do they all eat, right? A lot of life revolves around the corals, right? So that's why I wanted to get involved with corals. So about 2010, I started exploring and learning a little bit more about how corals work. Then I started planting them. Over there, corals are really just on the shallow ends of islands, basically, right? So it's not a big area of the ocean that's covered, but 25% of all marine life either goes through or passes through the reef at some point in their life cycle. Either they're eating something from the reef, they're passing through, or there's a nursery space for the fish, many, many things. Now, not just the ocean, but all the oxygen that we breathe, you see, every second breath comes from the ocean. And we're talking about this over millennia, right? And less than 1% of the earth. How many percent of the earth is water, is ocean? Anybody know? 70%, right? So less than 1% of the earth is covered by corals. And that number is actually going down. Right? You've all heard of stories of coral bleaching, coral death in Great Barrier Reef. All those are true stories, right? I actually personally saw it for myself. I went to Thailand to dive. This was 2010. When the end of the season, so one island I was diving called Kobon, beautiful, talking like 100, 200 meters of reef, full of small, full of life, full of small fish swimming around, mantas overhead, beautiful place. Then I go back, this is again in maybe October, after the summer months. And what happened during the summer months? Water got hot. I go back again, same trip, same dive site, everything was dead. Covered with brown algae, looks like shit, really brown algae, all over, a few hundred meters worth. All the little fish were gone. Lucky there were still mantas overhead, so people still enjoyed it, right? But for me, I was pretty sad, right? That made a very emotional, visceral impact on me, and I wanted to do something about it. So I started thinking about it. I think that's the key, right? Nowhere on Earth is more biodiverse than a coral reef. It's been proven that coral reefs are about 4 to 5 times more biodiverse than mangrove, right? If you walk, all the NS boys here, been to army, when we walk in the forest, are we surrounded by life? Not really. You got insects in the trees, you got ants on the floor, but you're not full. It's not full of life like the ocean is. The ocean is vast, right? All the way down from the seabed, all the way up to the surface, there is something living. Every surface is covered with something living. That's what's so amazing about it. I can go underwater and sit there and just watch one small patch and you see all the things that are moving around. Now, what we are trying to do, Livingseas, I started out as a dive center. I mentioned my story, right? My origin story in Thailand. After that, I started, exploring what can we do. Now, coral restoration back in 2010 was still kind of in its infancy. It was very much the domain of scientists, NGOs. An average diver like me can't get involved. So I wanted to create something whereby people can participate. Average people who want to help, who have the heart for it, and give them an opportunity to do something, right? Now, in order to do that, now I needed to scale up what we do. Took me a few years of experimenting. Finally, we found a system that works well. And that's what we can kind of see pictures of it over there. So that's our mission, right? To scale up the project, we need to first scale up the local community, right? Right now, I've got about 30 locals working for me in Padang Bai, right? All part of the team. Not everybody dives, but the whole ecosystem. Also produce our own structures. So I have my own workshop with metal working and concrete work as well. That's where I'm staying, Padang Bai. Small town, small fishing town. I think about 3,000 to 4,000 people. It's not even one street in a HDB estate, right? Maybe up to 10 blocks. But it's all spread out. Very nice little coastal town. And it's a port town. You see those big ferries over there? That goes to Lombok. The small ferries in the middle, that goes to Gili Islands, right? So a lot of tourism passing through. I'd argue that maybe 95% of the population there depends on the ocean. Previously, this is what they will do. All the boat captains, they'll go out, they catch fish, both for sustenance and also to sell, right? And over time, I think tourism came in maybe 20, 25 years ago to Padang Bai. Then they all started bringing people out for snorkeling, for diving. And okay, now it's gotten better, less destructive fishing practices, a little bit more awareness about how to maintain the reef, but it's still not enough. So that's where we got involved. This is the site that we planted, right? You can see the bottom there. It's, like I said, all that coral rubble and sand. And this area is about 1.5 kilometers long. It used to be a reef because there's evidence of that dead coral over there. So we know it was a reef. And it died because of the anchoring, fishing, netting, dynamite fishing, all these destructive practices, which luckily changed when tourism arrived. But still, that carries on. So look at the two rocks at the back there. This was before we started restoration. This was 2019. This, 2021, right? You can still see that rocks at the back there. Now you can see our structures below. We planted some coral. You see, immediately, well, not immediately, a couple of years, the fish come back. It's great. And this is 2024. Now, there's too much fish in the way now, but I assure you those rocks are still there. There's a dark shape right where that is, okay? So by doing this, you can see the density of the coral has increased so much. And as a result, habitat for all these little fish has also come back, right? For me, this is enough. I just go down and sit there for a few hours and watch this, also very happy, right? A lot of people have aquariums at home. Nothing beats the natural one. Now let me show you a video. Now this was taken in 2023. Now that photo was taken on this slope but looking downwards. Now this video is going swimming upwards. And this is what we used to do, right? We would be underwater planting corals a lot. This foreground here, that's from 2019, right? So this is about 4 years of growth. All these fish getting in the way. And those at the back you can see our structures. These are new structures that we're putting in. And most of the people there are actually volunteers that have come to help us plant and have this experience. That's me on the right, doing some maintenance on the older structures. Because if they die, we don't want to just leave them. We want to change them and put new coral in to increase the density of all the coral to build more habitat. Now, 2025, this whole area is full of coral now. These were planted maybe a couple months in this video. Now, 2 years later, it's completely covered, like the previous section. These are a couple of my local crew. We trained them from nothing. They were not even divers. And we taught them how to dive and how to do all of this. Now they're bringing guests out by themselves. I think these two guys have been with me about 4 years now. That's pretty cool. It's not just about, the coral. By doing this, we've also created sustainable income for 30 of them. And, for me, like I said, just looking at the fish is enough. But the guests that come, we did a study with an intern. She calculated that our project has brought in almost 300,000 US in 1 year to the village. Not to me, right? But for accommodation, food, transport. All these things would not have happened if we did not have this project, right? So it's also economic benefit for the village, not just our staff, not just for me, right? Not just for the ocean. I call that the triple win. Economy win, environment win, and company profits, right? So that model is something that I'm trying to expand upon. So this, early last year, we got this pontoon, and this boat sponsored by the TUI Care Foundation from Europe. So now, I mean, the video that you saw was always divers coming in, volunteer divers to help, and they pay for the experience, of course, right? Now, I'm democratizing that. So anybody can come. We're doing corporate groups, we're doing school groups, like up to primary school. Kids like yay high are coming to plant corals with us. And you can see how we've set up that the buoys and lines so that they can snorkel in between. Now, I want you to look at this part. It's interesting. I didn't notice until I put this in the presentation. You see that line there? That very straight line? That's not natural. That's the edge of our reef. Yeah? So what we want to do is from that line to rebuild another 1 kilometer that way. And if we can do that, well, it will take us quite a few years. At last count, it was probably 2050 at the rate we're going. We're doing on the order of, well, last year we did 1,200 square meters. This year we're on track to do 2,000 square meters. The total goal will be 5 hectares or 50,000 square meters. Right now we're about 8% of the way there with about 4,000 square meters done. Right? But that's another view. So you can see how all that white area, that's all the sand and rubble. There's this big patch right at the corner, that dark, one big coral there. That's pretty. That's the kind of coral that would end up on Instagram like just now. Right? But the rest of it is empty. Right? So this photo actually shows what I was saying earlier on. That actually, more often than not, you're getting a lot of coral rubble areas. And this is not isolated to Padang Bai. This is pretty much everywhere I've been, sadly. Right? It's very, very rare nowadays to have long stretches, few hundred meters of just reef, of just coral. You don't get that so much anymore, sadly. So hopefully we're able to do that, right, with more people coming in to snorkel and participate and learn. My goal is to have 20 snorkelers a day. And 20 snorkelers would grow the reef about 10 square meters a day. If we can do that, we'll be growing the reef 3,000 square meters a year. That would be amazing, right? So that's what I was saying earlier. We've already got 163,000 fragments planted. Most of them are growing. Those that die, we will replace anyway, because we still want that density of coral for the fish. But yeah, about 8% of the way there. Hopefully, with more support, more people coming diving and snorkeling, we can reach that goal of 5 hectares sooner and earlier. Okay, any questions? If you're a bit too paiseh now, that QR code comes to my WhatsApp, so you can also ask me directly later. But yeah, any questions? Yes. Good question. Now, I want to make tourism a force for good, right? Too often, for too long, tourism has been a force for bad. It's been destructive, right? Just now I was just having a conversation with him about that kind of mindset, right? People use nature and they don't think about the negative externalities that are involved, like damaging coral or the long-term effects of sunscreen on the coral, so on and so forth, right? We try to lead by example. So by doing this, we've proven that ecosystem restoration is not only possible, it's also profitable. Right? My hope is that they see it, and already some people are trying to copy, and then they start to take this approach, this more sustainable, more conservation-minded approach. So I hope to do that, to lead by example. Already on our site, you don't see it in the photos, because that was a year ago, but we're setting up mooring lines so that other snorkel boats can come. Because I want people to see it. And even if they don't come and snorkel with me or don't come and dive with me, I did not build it. I did not build the site for me. I built it for nature. It's for everybody to enjoy and everybody to look at it and realize that it is possible. And by setting that example, I hope that other operators will realize, hey, maybe there's a better way to do things, right? The other idea is as an operator myself, I cannot go to another operator and say, hey man, you're doing this wrong, right? You need to change your ways. They won't listen to me, right? So I can only hope to lead by example and show them that it is profitable, it is possible to treat the planet a better way, and everybody benefits. Yeah? I hope that answers the question. Thank you. I also have flyers at the back on the table there, so if anybody wants to come visit, you can go see what we offer. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, a lot. It's okay, we're so close.
Is Bali managing the waste management issue?
Ah, sad. This is a sad, very sad story. Like I mentioned, the thing about Singapore, we're very good at systems. Right? Indonesia is very bad at systems. Right? The government doesn't do much. We built an incinerator there, a small one, but they don't really want to use it. So, we try our best. We build an incinerator for them to use. Then we set up a collection system for the village. So that's still running at least, but now we're just piling up the trash somewhere else. So it's sitting next to a tree until that tree died, and then they're burning some of it. So it's not perfect, These kinds of infrastructural problems, systemic problems, is really the role of government to try and solve. NGOs can only do so much because these are big infrastructures, big money, right? And also you need the mandate. You need the mandate to say, okay, all your trash needs to go this system rather than outside your house, thrown into the ocean or whatever. So small improvements. But the Bali government, okay, another interesting story. We wanted to do a beach cleanup. We wanted to, because when the rains come, all that trash goes out from the rivers. And we wanted to pick up 7 tons of trash. So I asked the village head, can I send this to your sorting facility, then you can incinerate later? She told me, no, it's too much. Just dig a hole, bury it, and burn it. I mean, that's the village head telling me that. So if that's their mindset, how are things going to change, right? And again, it's not my place to go and tell the village head that that's not wise. So in the end, we didn't do it. So such a shame. But these larger things are difficult. I was just in Batam over the weekend, looking at Tanjung Uma. It's the most polluted river village in the world. It's so bad. Go Google that, Tanjung Uma. Super crazy. Like really trash everywhere, But yeah, this is not just isolated to Panang Bai or Bali. I would say this is a global issue. The only reason why Singapore is clean is because we have a good system. Like I showed you earlier, we actually produce more trash than them. We just burn it all more efficiently. That's the only difference. Yeah? I think you had a question? So I like to think my social team is doing a good job. I like to think I get invited to talks like this and then I'm able to spread the word a little bit more. But yeah, it's a slow process. I think what we're doing in the way that we're doing it, we're probably one of 5 organizations in the world that are doing this. We're definitely top 5 in terms of the scale of what we've done, of what we've rebuilt. So it's still a very new concept. It's still a very new concept where you can go and enjoy yourself and learn something and contribute back to the ocean. And that's something I always talk about when I give workshops. Like a lot of these slides are actually from my workshop presentation where I give to schools. And at the end, what I try to leave them with is that to a certain extent, we're running out of time. Yes, we can restore places. Yes, we can grow trees. But, a lot of advocacy, a lot of awareness, which is part of the major problem that we face is that, as a city dweller, you're very far away from corals. Unless you're a diver, snorkel, or you love the ocean, you don't know anything about corals, right? That's my challenge trying to change. And so what I try to tell them is that it's not just about corals, it's everything, right? If we talk about climate change in larger totality, right, it's important that we not just talk about it now. I feel we're running out of time. And I don't know how long more I'm going to be here. The younger ones in the audience, this is the world you will inherit. And it's time that we take more action, right? It's time to not just talk about it, but we need to grow something, plant something, restore something. And that's what I like to leave my, workshop attendees with. So in the hope that they take this forward. It's not just about cost, it's everything. Yeah. So I hope that answers, right? Awareness. Big money, advertising, no choice. Simple answer. Any other questions? Ask away, no worries. The beer can wait.
Leon also will be joining us tomorrow for
Yes.
a sharing. So is there anything different we might expect tomorrow from your sharing?
I think we're talking about conservation travels or ecotourism, which is, I don't know if everyone's going to be here tomorrow, but quick preview, my point of that is not every ecotourism thing is so green. There's a lot of greenwashing. Earlier on, Jong was mentioning, right? Stop the wash. That's happening a lot as well. Just because you're staying in a hotel that doesn't have aircon and they use organic soaps, that's not ecotourism, right? To further my point about action, right? I feel we're out of time. Ecotourism should be something that directly contributes positively to wherever it is you're going. Then that's proper ecotourism. By not using chemicals or eating vegan or, it's not enough. I think we need to, how do I put it? We always talk about our footprint and we want to lessen our footprint. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should still 3R, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. But will it save anything? We need to increase, not just reduce the negatives, we need to increase the positives. That's what I'm trying to do with my project, right? Increase the positive that you create in the world, not just reduce your negative. To be honest, if you want to reduce, controversial, the only way to reduce to zero is suicide. Fair? As long as we sit here, live, breathe, travel, come here, go home, you're consuming something, you're burning something, you're using something. There's no way around it. Your footprint can never go to zero, right? So the mindset shift that I want people to get and hopefully have is that it's time to increase your positives. Grow something, plant something, restore something. Then that actually works, right? Then you're true offsetting, right? Not the carbon market offsetting. Yeah? Make sense? Okay.
Something that I have always been curious about. In your earlier slide, yes.
This one?
So 163,000 coral fragments planted. Can you share with us a little bit like how you do your team, kind of like calculate that, how does that track? So for example, I have a pail of water. I will never go into the ocean just because I have a pail of water. So, but I'm very curious about replanting corals, and I feel like if I get to see some blue here and there, it'll be fun. So yeah, so I'm just wondering like how you and the team actually track.
So the tracking, I'll be honest with you, we don't actually count every single fragment. How we do it is we got 7 different structure types, right? I got 3 of them on the brochures at the back. You can take a look later. Got nurseries, which are big metal mesh, 10 square meters in size. And then each one of those can hold up to 1,000 corals. We got superstars that are maybe about this high, almost a meter, 1 square meter in size, and that holds up to 30 corals. And then the smallest one we have holds up to 18 corals. That's a reef star. So that's how we calculate it. Now, how we know these numbers are more or less correct is that because we don't let them die. Every time something dies, we replace. So I could also say 163,000 living coral fragments still underwater, not just planted, right? That's maybe a more accurate number, right? But yeah, it's a lot to count. So we go by the number of structures. So being Singaporean, I have a spreadsheet, right? As you do. And every time we do a planting, I record who planted, who's the donor, which day, what was planted. So I have that record and it totals up to these numbers. Well, I'm still a computer science graduate, so. But yeah. What was your second question? There was a second part to that. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Very good point that you brought up. I know you don't like the water. I'm still going to drag you out. But when you're on the pontoon is maybe half the size of this room, right? So it's big enough that it's not, rocking too much. Like I said, we have kids come on board and not everybody gets in the water. Some kids, we have NUS, SUTD, NTU coming over. So quite a few school groups. I think the youngest kids we had was primary school. So really small. And then, they're just jumping around as they do. And some of them didn't even go to the water because they were afraid. So they planted corals, we talked about it. And then when the other kids went to snorkel, then we got the boat to send them back earlier. A lot of people get seasick also. So not everybody hits the water, but you can still touch and work with a live piece of coral. That's the experience I want to share it, right? Because if you don't touch it, you don't see it, you don't feel it, you don't have no care for it. That's the difference I'm trying to make. Okay, yes. So her question relates to how it translated from an academic thing and how I brought it to this stage, what the journey was like. Am I right? So I actually don't have a background in marine biology. Like I say, I'm computer science. Completely different from what I do now, right? I came at it from a practitioner point of view, from a farmer mindset. I just want to plant it like tauge, grow everywhere, right? So a lot of it was trial and error. A lot of it, my first few experiments with it, I used bamboo. And it turns out it doesn't work. Because it's organic, it will degrade eventually, which was my point, but also it doesn't stick. So that's why now we use the bamboo as tags, right? So a lot of it was trial and error. I would say I would join other projects, I would go and see how they do it, or a lot of internet research also. I'll travel around and go and see how other people are doing things. Then I try to replicate. I think the very first time we tried to do something, I actually went to NUS library, photocopy the whole book. Because I don't have background, right? So we photocopy the book on marine science. Then all the exercise, all the different experiments that they do, we'll go out and try it. We printed the Sechi board, Sechi this, go try doing transacts and try to record some data. I don't trust any of that data now, of course, but at least we learn by doing. So for me, it's also very interesting, right? I like to tinker and experiment with stuff. That's why we got 7 different types of structures. So it's a very long process. Planting, does it die? Why did it die? Can we improve on this? And then iterate on that. So I think the nursery system, we had 5 different iterations before we found something that actually worked well. To me, that's the journey. I was telling somebody earlier that it's not that we finished the 5 hectares. To me, the fun is in, planting it, coming back a few weeks later, oh, it's growing, right? It's nice, it's cute. 1 year later, it's even bigger now. Now there's more fish. So there's that slow process. To me, it's very enjoyable. I don't have kids, so it's like watching my kids grow up underwater. So I hope that helps answer your question. Like I said, I don't have a background, so not really academic. They never let me join. 2010, my first email was to TMSI, NUS, Tropical Marine Science Institute. Say, I'm a diver. I want to participate. Can I come and see what's going on? No reply. Until now, today, 15 years, still no reply. Yeah. So that's why when I started creating this project, I wanted it to be open to everybody. Partly to screw with them, but but to do the complete opposite. And let everybody come and participate. Because like I said, if you don't touch it, don't see it, don't feel it, don't do it yourself, you never build that love for it. And then nothing will really change.
Okay, thank you, Leon. Thank you so much for that great sharing.
Thank you.